Hey, we're back. Flipping the camera around. Oh. Here I am. I'm sorry about this. We keep freezing up here. Again, it's just the bad time of day here in Los Angeles for internet. We're going to get my brother back on here. I'd love to answer some questions on the screen, but my screen keeps freezing up. So I'm not getting a feed. Hey, Anth, what's going on?
Hey, we are, yeah. You know, it's strange watching this movie in the coronavirus, in the time of coronavirus. Feels like, we've all experienced this global crisis. I think about this movie a lot when I'm walking around the empty streets around my house. But I was talking, I don't know when I dropped off, but I was talking about the special relationship between these two characters that Joe and I have found so valuable and exciting ever since Winter Soldier, and just the sense that these two characters are so different from one another. Cap being so straightforward and honest, and sort of integrity being such an important thing to him, and Black Widow, sort of everything being based on duplicity and spying and the relativity of truth. And there's a very fun dichotomy, and their friendship is an unlikely one within those two different points of view. And that's why I think it's been really valuable and fun to track dramatically through all of the films.
I'm looking at, I'm trying to find a question here. Somebody said they want to see a movie about Cap returning the stones. I want to see that movie too.
That would be a hard movie to write. You better get Marcus and McFeely on that.
That would be. Watching Scott explain quantum physics is so much fun. Yes, it is. I mean, again, the other great, like, Paul Rudd is a secret weapon in a lot of ways. One of which is his ability to convey plot or information, which can typically be tedious. He makes it very funny and entertaining, so that he catches us up on the high concept of the movie in a way that you're laughing. So that, one, you're laughing, so you're entertained. Two, you're going to remember it because it's entertaining. Which is, it's what we always find. It's really hard when you're giving actors plot. It seems to be when they go up on their lines the most, because they're not connected. Sort of a it can be jibber jabber because it's like technical words or made up technical words, and so they don't have a frame of reference for it, and they tend to forget those lines when they're explaining things, which for us just signals the sort of banality of having to convey plot to an audience. So we try to find ways to do it that add that extra layer, that are more entertaining, where the scene is doing more than just conveying plot. There's character coming out of it. There's relationship coming out of it. And here we are. This was a property about 40 minutes outside of Atlanta. This is a very cool log cabin that we found, and a few hundred yards away from where we shot this was the Battle of Wakanda. It was actually shot on the same property.
Yeah.
So
you have both. You can find everything from the Catskills to Wakanda on this ranch outside of Atlanta.
And we built. There was a man-made river that we built. That was amazing. I think that was probably the most incredible piece of engineering we'd ever seen on one of our sets. Was this man-made river that our production team built, that had its own pumps and could create a current. Many times we thought about getting an inner tube and floating down it.
Yeah, just thinking about Robert as an actor, and just it's, this little girl was a wonderful actor, but she's young and it's difficult. And it makes it a lot easier on directors when you have an actor like Robert basically directing her through the scene as he's performing with her.
Just as a reminder, in about 5 minutes, we've got a special guest who's going to be joining us for a few minutes. I think we can only do one link at a time. So Anth will retreat for a few minutes. Our guest will join us, and then Anth will come back, and we'll wrap up. So we're just going to talk for the first hour live, and then we're live tweeting the entire movie. So don't forget to check Twitter for behind the scenes photos, videos, all from our personal archives that we haven't shown anyone before until now. It's very nostalgic going through them because this was years of our lives working on all 4 Marvel films.
Yeah, but this was, I think we all had a lot of fun conjuring Tony Stark, Tony Stark, who had walking away from being Tony Stark and trying to find a new life.
Yeah. Someone just asked. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Anth.
I was just going to say because his memory of the old one was so painful. But anyway, what's the question?
On a lighter note, someone just asked us, did we have multiple PB&J sandwiches for Scarlett during that scene? I think, yeah, I think she ate like 7 sandwiches.
She does. And I remember maybe a few takes in, Scarlett saying, can we not put any peanut butter in the sandwich anymore?
It was getting hard for her to talk after a while. Traditionally, we have what is called a spit bucket, right? If you're working on a scene for 2 or 3 hours and you're actually eating in the scene, you could end up eating like 7 meals over the course of, shooting a scene. So what we'll do is if an actor doesn't want to do that, there's a little bucket that they can have next to them where they're chewing the food, and then they can spit out what they're chewing into the bucket, so they don't have to have, Scarlett didn't have to eat 14 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which would certainly affect her her performance.
It's especially challenging when you're dealing with actors who are playing superheroes who have the physical fitness of Olympic athletes, and the actors have to work extremely hard and have an extremely focused training regime in order to physically embody these roles.
Yeah. Someone just asked, and this might be our last question before we get our guest on, but do we have any plans to do any future Marvel movies? And, we've said it before and we'll say again, we adore Kevin and Lou and Victoria at Marvel. We had an amazing experience, both creatively, emotionally, and we count everyone there as dear friends. So we're always looking for something to do together. It's just a question of timing and when you find the right material. All right, Anth, I think we're going to let you go for a minute here.
All right. I will see you guys in a bit.
Okay. Enjoy. We'll grab you back.
All right.
All right. I'll keep going here. I'm going to look for some questions. Sorry. Sophie's trying to find our guest so we can link them up. And I'm trying to read some questions. By the way, here's another cameo from my last kid, who's actually sitting over there. It's my daughter, Leah, who's in the scene with her cousins. The smallest one is Anth's boy, Julian, and that is our nephew, Augie. So again, we like to make these things family affairs. When you spend years of your lives working on projects like this, you have to find a way that it has fulfillment for everyone else around you. Otherwise, it can be alienating to the people who love you most, and we don't want that to happen. So let's see. Do we get it? Yep. Our special guest coming on any second here. Oh, there he is. Roberto.
Hello, gorgeous George.
How are you, sir?
Great. How's it going?
Good, really good. We had some technical difficulties earlier. I feel bad. It's this internet in LA is overloaded right now. But
how mysterious. Yes, I saw you froze face while Anthony seemingly had zero issues at all.
Yes, I looked like I was sucking a lemon, and he was. He had all the poise. We're just coming to this part in the movie, Robert. You're now walking around the table talking about solving time travel.
Yes.
And our young madam is going to show up here in a second.
Oh, good.
Do you want to talk a little bit? I know you've talked about it before, but you want to talk a little bit about I Love You 3000, which is coming up in a minute?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I love how this scene, it was just something that was on the call sheet when he figures out time travel. And at that point in the shoot, we were all just like, yeah, that's easy. Something will come up on the screen. I'll do a thing or whatever. But I thought that was a lovely scene. And without that scene, the Love You 3000 one kind of wouldn't be as poignant.
Right. And this is an improv, I Love You 3000, right? Or something you recommended for the script. It might have been in one of our Sunday sessions.
Yeah, I just know it was something that I think my now 8-year-old used to say to me, and a lot of kids say it, you know, it's before they can quantify love, they just think of the biggest number they know, and it's usually like 2,000 or 3,000 and whatever, and it turned out to be really significant. But all the stuff in this movie was about us really starting to bring our own experience these many years into these characters and the epic sojourn.
Well, we always talk about that, having emotional ownership over what you're working on. The more emotion you bring to it, then the more it resonates with you as a performer or an artist or creative working on it. You do better work because you're connected to it.
Probably, yeah.
You
And
know?
look, after 20 plus movies, the audience, our cast and crew, the whole planet was kind of in this resonance with each other, and it was all leading up to this finale, you know? Right. So, I mean, I remember it so fondly. We were definitely, as you were saying, looking to stick the landing, and this was just one of those days that felt like just another day in the shoot, but we know when there's important days, you're like, all right, this one kind of has to work, or Act 3 isn't as meaningful, you know?
Right. The focus that would come to those days would be significant, right? Like we spent a lot of time talking about your death scene. And that was something that maybe we talked about for well over a year or two.
Yeah.
Just kept refining until it got simpler and simpler.
Well, you know me too. There's nothing I like more than chasing you down on a weekend and making you go through pointless draft after draft for something that winds up being 3 words. But it is that relentless pursuit. And I feel like at this point, and you could say the same, to me, it all was really starting with Civil War, when we were kind of taking chances within the genre. And then with Infinity War and Endgame, it was kind of like it was this 1, 2, 3 combo, and we were all in a real groove. And I think it was such a collaborative. It wasn't exhausting. It should have been exhausting, and it wasn't.
Well, that's a great point, because this group, the chemistry between this group was incredible. And it's rare, and I talk about this a lot, it's rare to be able to work on a project in our business where you're with people for a decade, or the better part of a decade. Yeah. And it creates relationships that you don't traditionally get.
Yes, it creates the kind of relationship where I give myself a little haircut, because I know you asked if I would do this today. And I was looking all over the house for where to go. I'm in the bathroom, and it's balancing on a toilet seat right now, because I was looking for an appropriate frame to match your lovely gray background.
My background? I didn't put a ton of thought into this one. I was upstairs.
It's like you said, though. Yeah, it was that desire. We all wanted to get in where we fit in. We all wanted to make you proud. We all wanted Kevin to know that we understood the gravity of what we were doing. And even though we're effing around half the time, I'd say 49% of the time, this was a real quality 51%.
Yeah, we would certainly lock in. And there were many conversations had when, like you said, when you would lock in. There were lunches, there were Sundays, you know, It's a 24/7 commitment for a year straight.
Yeah.
To pull it off, because the clock is ticking constantly.
Oh, come on, dude. And look, at this point in the shoot, as is well documented, you and your dear brother were, I mean, it was like doing a push-up contest after a marathon.
Yeah.
And there's something about that when you lead from the front the way you two did. You're kind of like, well, you know, then I got to be working weekends and I got to put my best foot forward too. So I, you know, again, I commend you. It's why we stayed so close to this day. It's why I love your family. It's why I'm talking to you whether we got business to do or not, because we forged that bond.
Well, same, sir. Right.
Thanks.
And that's that. Is that a good spot to end it?
Whatever you want. Yeah, I mean,
How long do you want to hang out for? I'll keep you here forever.
Until someone needs to use this toilet.
All right, good. I've got you. That was
well, let's say 5 more minutes. You know me. I like to offer the world and then start creating boundaries.
And then dial it back. That was a very touching speech, by the way. And it is true. It's like the, you know, we all know you have one shot at this. And I think we all know how fortunate we were to be working on something that had this kind of attention and this and could pull audiences the way that these projects did. And I know I sent you some of the clips early on of audiences reacting to the moments in the movie. And it's just so rare to be part of something like that, where a theater is almost behaving like a rock concert.
Oh, yeah. And look, I mean, speaking of cultural stuff, not to drop names, but I was talking to Paul Thomas Anderson the other day, and I think he said that he was going back and YouTubing early screening audience reactions to this just because he wanted to remind himself of the power of cinema. And this is arguably, you know, one of our greatest American filmmakers ever. So it was one of those things that continues to really, it transcends taste and just becomes this thing that we all know is you know, super significant. And nowadays, you know, I mean, this uniting against a common challenge thing, I mean, come on, it's become ridiculously poignant.
Well, it's without question. I think that's the most significant aspect of it is these stories of their ability to unite people globally, which is there's a rare amount of things that can do that that aren't tragic.
Yeah. Where are we at in the movie now? What scene is it?
We are at, this is you. Here, I'm going to show you.
Oh.
Can you see it?
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Yeah. This was another one of those. I mean, there were a lot of days where we had to lock in on this one, right?
Oh, yeah. To me, it was all about when you'd set up the shot and I said, no, I got to pass him and then back up. And you're like, all right, reframe. Yeah, you're right. We can't just do another Tony Stark pull-up. But again, I hand this one to Chris Evans. I hand it to Chris. It was all about him forgiving me for not forgiving him so we can start getting ready to, who knows, you know, maybe throw in the towel for whatever we got to do. And it wasn't just the idea of burying the hatchet. It was burying the hatchet and taking up the cross together. So it was a complex scene. Of course, it was Atlanta and it was hot and all that. But I remember some of the hardest stuff. I don't know. You made it easy. Is
resentment is corrosive? Is that a Robert?
I'm sure it's some mental health phrase that's been tossed at me here and there. Yeah.
Well, for me, it became, every time I heard it, I was like, well, that's so emblematic of the relationship. So, you know, that's the the value of a Downey improv.
Yes. My eyesight at middle age now, officially, even mid-50s, is failing, but I can see all these little dots and hearts and stuff and love and all that coming up. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, we were so fortunate to be these big-hearted apex predators with this franchise. And it's one of those things you can't express enough gratitude for it.
No, you can't. And it is, and it's great to have everyone on here watching and participating. And can you believe it's been a year?
It feels like a lot. Well, yeah, a lot has happened. All time is very strange right now. There's like cycles within cycles, but it's been fantastic. All the allotted introspection, and I won't say why, but I had an occasion to be interfacing with the other 5 of the original 6 Avengers just a few days ago, and after we all kind of hung up off whatever our Zoom-like call was, I just got this wave of all that, and and then it did feel like about a year ago, but you know, it was years leading up to it. It felt like it was a year to do it and finish it and get it out, and I'm sure for you, it feels like a year ago you worked for 1,000 years straight.
It did. Although I would say that it feels like you go to summer camp and then they yank it away from you. Because we do have a lot of fun working these things together. Everybody has a lot of fun. You get real close to each other, and then you miss it. You know, maybe we'll all have to do it again someday.
Well, you know, the people will they will move us towards what they want.
Yeah, by the way, we just got a hello from Turkmenistan, which I think is really.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Oh my gosh! They are rolling in, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. All very sweet.
Cool. Who else? You got other guests? You got other surprise guests dropping in?
You're it. I could never. No one can follow you, sir. So. We're just doing the first hour of this, so we're about 9 minutes away from the first hour. So,
wow,
you've admirably carried a good 10-minute chunk of this this live event.
All right. Well, love everyone who is joining us for this. Love you, Russos, madly, and obviously love this movie like no other.
Well, we love you too, sir.
All right.
You be safe and healthy.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye. Bye. All right. I'm going to pull my brother back here so we can wrap up a little bit. And again, we do want to thank all of you for joining. We really appreciate it. We miss all of you, and we hope to make another movie for you soon that we can all get back together in a theater and watch. And by the way, I'm going to glance back at the film here. I think Hemsworth is incredible in this scene. This is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I'm talking about the scene where they come to get him, where Smart Hulk comes to get him with Rocket. It is so difficult to be funny and sad at the same time. It's the hardest acting you can do. And he pulls it off in spades. Except you want to try and grab Amp again? Yeah. Trying to remember, I think Hemsworth has said, but the prosthetics he was wearing were like 30 pounds, 20, 30 pounds. Oh, hey, Amp. How are you? Let's talk about Hemsworth. And how sublime he is.
Yeah, he's
playing this version of Thor.
It was fun watching you and Robert talk. And what you're saying made me think of, I can't, just the idea of getting back in the theaters with people is like a really strong desire. Maybe we'll have to do a special, maybe we can have a special Endgame screening.
That's a great idea. We'd love to, again, like just anything that, keeps us thinking towards the future and working hard to help everyone get past this and, maybe revaluing the things we take for granted and the ability just for all of us to be together in a space is something that we'll have a better perspective on moving forward.
Yeah. But to your point about Chris Hemsworth, this bodysuit that he's wearing to transform his body weighs 70 pounds. So he's
with 70. All right. I understood it. I think I said it was like 20 or 30. So 70 pounds.
Really heavy, yeah.
Yeah. I remember he was having back problems by the end of the shoot, and that certainly
Yeah.
might have been the cause of it. This was a oneer that we conceived with Renner. It's tricky when you're working on a movie of this scale that's this dense to indulge stylistic flourishes for a long period of time, because there's so much storytelling that needs to be packed into the runtime. But this was one that we just felt was really important for the introduction of his character, and to get a sense of who he had become, and live in that for a few minutes to understand how violent he'd become and how self-destructive. And we thought that that a oneer was the best way to capture that.
Well, it actually, like, to your point, it helped us. The stylistic choice backed up this idea that Hawkeye was in a very different place from everybody else. You know, it's sort of the language of the film changes here as we catch up with his story. I think that creates puts him off by himself in a good
And
way.
this is a street in Atlanta, by the way. Our art department's incredible. I think if you check out Twitter, you'll get to see a photo or a video of me walking the street the day we shot this. A lot of times, what Anthony and I will do is just get out our iPhones and walk around set and look for angles and conceive shots. We tend to have a loose idea of what it is that we want to execute when we go to set, but we've learned over our many years in the business that you don't want to limit yourself from the inspiration that will come from the actors and from the location itself when you're actually physically there in the space and they're playing with props and moving around, and you know, your director of photography's ideas, your camera operator's ideas, everything needs to come together in order to make the best film. And in those moments, you need to be super available. So we will have a loose idea of what it is we want to do, and then invite everyone into the process, hear all ideas, and then Anthony and I usually adjourn to a corner and come up with a game plan or a plan of attack of how we want to execute. Obviously, a oneer like this is something that needs to be well planned, and I think we spent a day or two rehearsing this prior to shooting it. But that's not typical for how we like to work.
But it's a good testament to, like, everything you try to do. You know, everything requires a different method, and it depends what your end goal is, and you kind of have to design your road based upon where you're trying to go.
And that Hemsworth walking with a beer, it's our favorite beer in Georgia, Creature Comforts. The crew was obsessed with it, so we had to sneak it into the movie. I was obsessed with it. Yeah. And we're winding down here on our hour, Anth.
All right.
Any sort of general comments to wrap up?
No, just looking. It's thrilling to be able to revisit this movie a year after its release, and you know, especially it's exciting to be able to find a way to share it with others, share our experience of it with others, as in this time of stay-at-home sheltering. I'm just grateful for the opportunity, and I hope that I look forward to hearing more about what people think, and I hope it's a positive experience for everybody.
Well, we miss you all, and we hope that everyone stays safe and healthy, and we really look forward to seeing everyone soon, and hopefully with our next movie, Cherry, which stars Tom Holland, that we're in post on right now. Thank you all for tuning in. And yeah, what was that?
Sorry, Joe. I was going to say, by the way, while you're giving that very heartfelt, making that very heartfelt statement to people, I was watching Don Cheadle mime how you strangle a baby Thanos to death.
By the way, I don't know if anyone is watching Don's show on Showtime, but it is goddamn hilarious, and Don is a comic genius. who improvises quite a number of his jokes. Again, that's like being available on set with the people, with the talent you're working with, and allowing them the room to create. But thank you all again. We love you 3000.